Hello everyone and welcome to RadioCSIRT English Edition, your daily cybersecurity briefing. I am Marc-Frédéric Gomez, your French cybersecurity voice covering today's threat landscape. I hope you are doing well. In this episode, the Iran conflict cyber dimension, a 6-week retrospective from the opening strikes of February 28th through the fragile ceasefire of April 9th, 2026, covering the full evolution of Iranian and pro-Iranian cyber operations from initial hacktivist DDoS waves to confirmed industrial control system exploitation. To understand where we are today, we need to go back to the trigger event. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched joint military strikes against Iranian strategic sites, nuclear infrastructure, IRGC installations, command compounds across Tehran, Isfahan, Qom, Karaj, and Kermanshah. The operations were designated Epic Fury and Roaring Lion. Within hours, two things happened simultaneously in cyberspace. Iran's domestic internet connectivity collapsed to between 1% and 4% of normal capacity. A digital fog effect caused by the strikes and a coordinated multi-vector cyber counteroffensive was launched, combining state APT operations with a coalition of over 60 hacktivist groups operating in aligned but distinct lanes. That initial week, from February 28th to March 6th, defined the operational architecture that would persist and intensify throughout the conflict. On the hacktivist side, over 149 attack claims were recorded against 110 distinct organizations in 16 countries within the first 72 hours. Two groups accounted for 70% of total DDoS volume. Keymous Plus, pro-Iranian aligned, was responsible for approximately 35% of activity, targeting governments and financial institutions across the GCC. DieNet, also pro-Iranian, matched that volume and hit Bahrain and Sharjah airports, Riyadh Bank, Bank of Jordan, and UAE infrastructure. The 313 team from Iraq targeted Kuwaiti defense and government ministries. Handala Hack, assessed as aligned with Iranian intelligence services, reduced its public activity in this period, a pattern historically associated with active undeclared operational phases rather than inactivity. The state APT layer was operating in parallel. APT34, also known as OilRig, was running active credential harvesting campaigns against regional telecoms and government institutions. Exploitation of CVE-2026-22719, VMware Aria Operations Command Injection Vulnerability Without Authentication Requirement, CVSS 8.1, added to the CISA Known Exploited Vulnerabilities catalog on March 4th, was documented against Gulf government infrastructure. DNS hijacking against Gulf governmental systems was confirmed. MuddyWater, aligned with the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence, was running Operation Olalampo targeting the Meta region, Middle East, Turkey, and Africa, with TTPs overlapping the Red Kitten campaign, focused on AT providers serving government and financial entities. UNC 1549 ranked the fourth most active threat actor globally. In the second half of 2025, was operating against defense, aerospace, and telecom targets. APT35 and APT42, also known as Charming Kitten, were running cloud credential theft operations against M365 and Google Workspace environments, targeting journalists, researchers, and NGO personnel. The supply chain dimension emerged in this first week as well. State actors began injecting malicious code into popular NPM and PYPI packages, activating payloads only within production CI/CD pipelines to evade static analysis. The technique incorporated steganography, payloads hidden inside images, and AI-generated code designed to bypass conventional detection tools. This was not a mass exploitation campaign. It was precision targeting of development environments. The financial sector in the region was taking direct hits. At least 10 financial institutions had documented disruption attempts in the first week. Riyadh Bank, Bank of Jordan, UAE online banking platforms, and financial entities in Bahrain, Qatar, and Kuwait. The baseline threat level in the UAE prior to the conflict was already between 90,000 and 200,000 attack attempts per day, with over 70% attributed to state actors according to the UAE Cybersecurity Council. That baseline escalated significantly from February 28th onward. On the physical infrastructure side, An AWS data center in the UAE was struck by ballistic impact and caught fire, disrupting cloud services for multiple regional security providers. Similar impacts were reported at AWS Bahrain. The connectivity collapse inside Iran, while temporarily limiting the coordination capacity of Iran-based APT cells, had no effect on prepositioned cells operating outside Iranian territory or through proxy and VPN infrastructure. The offensive capability was not neutralized, only partially degraded in coordination. Moving forward to March 31st, the conflict had shifted into a major hybrid escalation phase, combining large-scale kinetic operations with increasingly sophisticated cyber activity. The most significant cyber event of this period was the confirmed compromise of the NPM library Axios, one of the most widely downloaded JavaScript libraries in the world, with over 1 billion monthly downloads. An unattributed threat actor compromised the credentials of the library's maintainer and published malicious versions, Axios at version 1.14.1 and Axios at version 0.30.4. Both embedded a hidden dependency, PlainCrypto.js at version 4.2.1, which executed a post-install script operating as a dropper. The dropper deployed a cross-platform remote access Trojan targeting windows, macOS and Linux, then self-deleted to hinder forensic detection. Every development environment that installed or updated Axios during the compromise window was potentially affected. The IOC set for this event covers the 3 malicious package names and requires immediate audit of any CI/CD pipeline that ran npm installs during the relevant period. Also on March 31st, the group designating itself APT35 claimed exfiltration of Lockheed Martin source code linked to F-35 avionics, screenshots of avionics, telemetry, and landing gear subsystems. This claim was unverified at time of reporting and remains so. Handala claimed compromise of Iran via media outlet, with exfiltration of confidential documents and affiliate lists transmitted to Iranian intelligence services, combined with fax-based influence campaigns targeting US and European security agencies. The Cyber Islamic Resistance and Conqueror's Electronic Army claimed manipulation of industrial heaters at the Valero refinery in Port Arthur, Texas. If confirmed, this would represent confirmed OT impact against U.S. energy infrastructure on U.S. soil. The use of DDoS for hire services against Israeli entities via the platform Beam.st was also claimed. The Nisir hacking group claimed exfiltration of confidential contracts from Saudi oil company Al Safi. The variable assessment on these hacktivist claims is important. Operational confirmation for some, unverified for others, but the trend across all of them points to an expansion of targeting scope and an increase in claimed operational sophistication. Critically, on March 31st, the IRGC formally designated Western technology and financial corporations as legitimate targets for retaliatory operations beginning April 1st. The named targets included Cisco, HP, Intel, Oracle, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Meta, IBM, Dell, Nvidia, and Palantir in the technology sector. All rated high threat level. JP Morgan Chase in finance, also high. Boeing and General Electric in industry and defense. Tesla, Spire Solutions, and G42 rated moderate to high. This formal designation transformed the threat from opportunistic hacktivist activity and regional APT operations into a declared targeting posture against named Western entities effective immediately. The period from April 6th through April 9th represents the most significant escalation of the cyber dimension to date. On April 6th, the 313 team conducted massive DDoS operations against Netflix and Pinterest, confirmed outages, and against the Australian government portal. The same day, the Conqueror's Electronic Army hit Israeli targets including Teva Pharmaceutical and Upwork. Teva's presence on that list is notable. It extends the confirmed targeting scope into the pharmaceutical sector, outside the energy, finance, and defense perimeters that had defined the earlier phase. Upwork's inclusion suggests HR and gig platform infrastructure is also in scope. April 8th is the most operationally significant date in the cyber timeline. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, CISA, NSA, EPA, Department of Energy, and U.S. Cybercom published a joint advisory on that date, confirming active exploitation of programmable logic controllers in U.S. water and energy sector infrastructure by Iran-affiliated actors, with confirmed functional degradation and operational disruption. This is not a claim or an assessment. It is a confirmed joint governmental advisory with confirmed operational impact against critical infrastructure inside the United States. The shift from DDoS and data exfiltration to confirmed OT and PLC exploitation with operational consequences represents a qualitative escalation in the threat level that all industrial operators need to integrate into their defensive posture. Also on April 8th, Handala hack claimed compromise of the Iran International Broadcast Network. Servers disabled, data extracted. On April 9th, Handala claimed targeted doxing of General Herzi Halevi, former IDF Chief of Staff IFNI, passport, driving license, and 19,000 files. On the same day, the Cyber Islamic Resistance defaced 38 Israeli commercial and tourism websites, with mirrors published on Zone H. The threat vector evolution across this 6-week period follows a clear progression. Week 1, mass DDoS, regional financial targeting, state APT credential harvesting, initial supply chain probing. Weeks 2 through 4, sustained APT operations, targeted exfiltration claims, hacktivist coalition expansion, software supply chain attack via Axios with confirmed dropper deployment. Weeks 5 and 6, formal IRGC target designation against named Western entities, DDoS expansion to Western platforms, confirmed OT/PLC exploitation in U.S. critical infrastructure, military doxing operations. The detection and hunting priorities for any organization potentially in scope are as follows. For development environments, audit all NPM and PYPI package installations for the Axios compromised versions and the plain crypto.js dependency, with a retroactive search window covering the March 31st publication date. Integrate these IOCs into CI/CD pipeline monitoring. For OT and ICS environments, integrate the IOCs from the joint FBI/CISA/NSA advisory of April 8th into SIEM and EDR tooling with enhanced monitoring of SCADA and ICS systems and network exposed OT connections. For enterprise environments, APT34 credential harvesting via DNS hijacking and APT35/42 cloud credential theft remain active. Monitor M365 and Google Workspace for anomalous authentication patterns, particularly from unexpected geographies or device profiles. For network level defense, the DDoS for hire vector using beamed.st and similar platforms requires rate limiting and upstream scrubbing posture review. The organization explicitly named in the IRGC March 31st designation should treat that as a confirmed elevated threat condition, not a background risk. What to watch going forward? The US-Iran ceasefire announced April 8th is structurally fragile. Lebanon's exclusion creates ongoing friction, and Iranian doctrine allows local commanders to continue operations independently of high-level diplomatic postures. In the cyber domain, the trajectory from DDoS to confirmed OT exploitation in 6 weeks indicates an intensification trend that has not plateaued. European financial and industrial targets are explicitly within the stated threat scope. The next phase of escalation is expected to model the supply chain attack vector further, targeting development environments of Western entities in the sectors explicitly named by the IRGC: technology, finance, defense, and energy. And that's it. This episode ends. I hope it will provide you with clear and useful information. Until then, we don't think, we patch. If you are a new listener, feel free to subscribe to the RadioCSIRT podcast. We are available in both English, Italian, Spanish, and French on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, Deezer, and Spotify. All open source intelligence links used in this episode are available on RadioCSIRT.com. See you soon for a new episode. Take care. Goodbye.